Oh. Alright, Richard Moore, United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association. That's YouTube, Facebook, as well as North Mississippi Anti-Gang Stalking Association. So, I'll give you this, you see this building in the backdrop. That's a Masonic temple. And of course, I don't make any friends if I'm really trying to make friends. Especially when it involves the satanic fraternal order of the Masons. I just completed doing a video on Walgreens and how they participate in the corrupt criminal community policing program. On its face, it's a legal program. Neighborhood watch, have a safer community, etc., etc. What they're not telling you is what they're doing to American citizens and absolutely depriving them of their civil and constitutional rights, violating ADA standards. That's the Americans with Disability Act, and the list goes on and on and on. Currently, I have the sheriff of Lee County in a federal lawsuit, and I've made it real clear that I fully intend on naming the chief of police of the Tupelo Police Department, as well as the EMA director and other state actors. So if I get this get my sound where I can hear it, and I'm hoping that my sound is coming through. So I'm running 2 cameras, and I'll tell you what, folks, it's a little busy doing that. I'm in front of the Tupelo Hardware, and of course, you know, they like to tout this where Elvis bought his first guitar. But and they hated him when his family, they lived on the wrong side of the tracks, white trash, you know the deal. Wigger, devil music, burning records, all that stuff. He hated the town. Tom Parker, his manager, insisted he just for publicity, he donated money to build a park, etc., etc., and then had to really jump their rear end to get them to finally do that. But it was no love loss here. No love loss. The best thing that ever happened to Elvis Presley, obviously, is leaving Tupelo, Mississippi. But now, of course, they're all riding on his name. And I'm quite sure that nothing that Elvis Presley is about or stood for can be represented here in Tupelo, Mississippi. So that's the way it goes, folks. You know, you're hated, then they love you. So, and this hardware store is, that's their deal. This is where he stood and breathed the same air, etc., etc., etc. But as I'm walking down the side here a little bit, and to give you kind of a bird's eye view, and if you witness any drive-by stalking, well then we'll just consider that a bonus, okay? Because that is not the purpose of this video. It is very alive and well. It's going on as I'm doing this. My last video is a prime example of the lengths the stalkers will go to in order to carry out their stupidity. I'm going to post a couple of screenshots of the Lee County EMA and the community organizations that are affiliated with the EMA. Now, when you see those names in there, that you must know that these are individuals that do get grant money, taxpayer funding, and they use this grant money to participate in community policing. But when they keep checks and balances of the victims that are targeted, that are deemed somehow dangerous or a blight on, whatever it is, not only do they circumvent due process, which they love that, because, you know, law enforcement, they know what's best. It's why they are the law, according to them. So, but they're keeping tabs on individuals, and they're writing down, they suspect they're doing this, involved in that, blah, 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 blah. So these are fraudulent entries each time these notations are made on a victim, which they don't disclose who the victims are. There's no grievance process. There's no protocol for a victim to air his grievance or displeasure with how he's being stalked and mistreated. Now we're talking about, they employ these community organizations that get the grant money, then they in turn garner the services of every group from NAMBLA to the Satanic Order of the Masons, and on and on and on. Now in the foreground here, in the distance foreground, you can see the multiple flags down there. That is a relatively brand new, it looks like about 4 stories, 3 or 4 stories, Tupelo Police Department. They don't have a jail in there. That big building, and I could have gotten closer, but it's hot out here and I don't feel like walking. So just put it in your search engine if you want to really see it. But speaking of people doing their part, here's a prime example. Our first responders are always the first ones to stalk, whether it's they either employees or volunteer at fire department. They're all part of the deal. There's no question about that. No question about that. Taxi cabs as well. You see the cab going by. Now, so this is everybody playing their part in community policing. Again, we reiterate, on its face, it sounds good. It's legal. But what they're not telling you is what they are actually doing. Breaking into victims' homes, illegal wiretaps, putting cameras in their home, listening devices. I have boxes of these devices that they have been, these are monsters that have been coming in and out of my residence at will. They jam the security cameras. They get in the pick a lock quicker than I can get my key out and open the door. Now, why wouldn't your neighbors say anything? Well, your neighbors already put in on the deal too. There are perps that are planted there to watch you, and nobody is going to say a word. Then you call law enforcement. They'll pretend as if you're crazy. They'll gaslight you. Now, if you'll go to the Department of Justice, to their website, you will see a program. It's called the COPS program. It is a nationwide program. It's not a secret. It's not a secret. Homeland Security Fusion Centers all over the country, 78 of them, they're not federal, nor are they state. They are, and speak of the devil, I mean literally the devil, Jim H. Johnson himself. So they are owned, the fusion centers are owned by state employees and private entities. Folks, this is on their website. Now, their participation in this program is called Citizens Core. If you see it, report it. They gather all data, pharmacological, your credit, your everything about you is sent to the Fusion Center. They fuse it together, hence the Fusion Center, and they make that data, no such thing as a Privacy Act, obviously, they make that data available to these community organizations all the way down to NAMBLA, the Satanic Order of the Masons, and the Black Gay Mafia, and whoever else they want to bring into this deal. They have no qualms. It's not a matter, well, is this person guilty of a crack of care less? They're getting paid. They're getting endowed with gift cards, recognition, and they don't have to endure harassment. They get to stay in business, by the way. It's a money-making operation. And if the more people that's involved, now they have to sign agreements. They're not allowed to talk about this program, not even to each other. And in these agreements, there's a hold harmless clause in there. In other words, if one of these creeps, and God forbid, because I don't advocate violence, even though they do, gets killed while they're out here perping and stalking another human being, it's real clear, the paperwork that you signed, you cannot hold law enforcement responsible for that. You know, or your family can't hold them responsible. They're not going to be held responsible. Now, Tupelo has been infamous with their choreographed stalking. Now, I'll let the camera speak for itself, and the victims that people have been victimized by this know what they're looking at. And all I have to do is I can go on any corner in America, and I promise you I will change the color patterns of traffic anywhere. I almost feel like that the Walmart, and there's 3 in Tupelo, that they're empty at this moment because those stooges are out here riding around like mindless, unmanned aircraft. Now, what about the citizens that are completely oblivious to this? They too are victims. Because what happens is these criminals in community policing operate the same way ISIS operates. They blend in with the crowd. They stalk with their children. They don't wear a uniform, identify themselves, and they'll blend in with unsuspecting, innocent, or oblivious American citizens, therefore endangering and exploiting people that have nothing to do with this. Oftentimes, I'll make videos, and it's inevitably I'm going to capture someone in that video that's oblivious. I have no control over that. I have no control over it. If you have a problem, and you don't have anything to do with this program at all, and I catch you on a video, don't get mad at me. You need to call the home office that's running this stalking program. I'm going to give you the phone number. If you need that, you get your pen and paper out and write this number down. And this is who you call and air your grievance with about their program. Tell them they should wear buttons or flags and maybe drive something other than a Kia or a Hyundai. And just whatever you feel like telling them. Now that number, write this down, is 911. Okay? And you should be able to reach that from any phone anywhere in America. It shouldn't be hard to get them. And that is your stalking headquarters. Okay? That's where that's who's running it. On the local level, your chief law enforcement officer is always the one ultimately in charge of what's going on in their town or in their county. In this case, we've got Chief Aguirre. I can't remember his name, but I'm gonna have his picture on there. And, you know, when I tell you a picture is worth 1,000 words, honey, just read it and weep is all I can tell you. This clown is the proud chief of not only the chief of police of Tupelo. You know, they've got a metropolitan size police department down there. Okay? How'd they get that? How much federal tax money? How much tax? All of that was paid by tax money. These are public servants, not for just the ones they decide they'll serve, and then the rest of them they'll rape and pillage and deny their constitutional rights. So that means it's the oath they took was the first lie they told, and they had quit lying since. The sheriff is running interference for the other sheriff in other counties. We'll say Chickasaw County, Mississippi, where we have Tilda and Freddie Stevens. 3.5 years ago, it was a murder, and then Freddie Stevens purportedly died of self-inflicted knife wounds to the stomach a few months later in the Chickasaw County Jail. All of that was reported. Not only was it a lie, I interviewed with Stevens a week and a half prior to their murder. It was ascertained that Tilda, Miss Stevens, wanted to talk. She explained to me in minute detail of those involved in torturing her and her husband, and the disguises they would put on and barge in her home, on and on and on and on. I was absolutely it just staggered my imagination that this elderly couple that I had never met children, just a sweet spirit about that lady, and I promised her that I would get in touch with the FBI and law enforcement, Mississippi Bureau of Investigation. And I made several attempts, and they would not, absolutely, they would not entertain even hearing anything. Then they end up dead. I repeat the process, and guess what? Same deal. It did not change. They have their story, and these corrupt officials, including the coroner and Sheriff Myers, and now I'm talking about it, and they are tired of hearing it. So what do? They just absolutely make up charges, and they arrest, drag you through the system illegally. Title 18, USC 242 and 241. That is crimes committed under the color of law. And that is squarely what I'm going after of these individuals, as it involves covering murder for hire. I've already talked about the hit that went bad, well documented, against myself, and it was given by the sheriff of Union County. Well, you think law enforcement at some point be interested in that story? Nope. I've got all the evidence. I've got all but just an absolute confession. It was captured on video surveillance, a witness watching it. I still have all that evidence, and yet no one wants to hear it. This is law enforcement in North Mississippi, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a problem. Now, I remind you, I'm totally viewer and listener supported. If it weren't for the individuals out there, and mostly victims, that support the work that I'm doing and exposing these crimes, and those individuals, the individuals that are responsible for these crimes, I wouldn't be able to be here today. I have a link posted in the comment section for my GoFundMe, and we just started a Patreon, and you're more than welcome to, if you'd like, is to become a Patreon, and that link will be there on there as well. So on YouTube, it is United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association, as well as North Mississippi, and Facebook is North Mississippi Anti-Gang Stalking Association and United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association, and I'm on all the other platforms as well. I'm not hard to find. So like, subscribe to my channel, share, let me hear from you. Until next time, God bless you.